Oh, morning, fellas.
Hey,
Hello.
Funny
what do
seeing
you
you
know?
here.
Fancy meeting you here.
Well, I admit this is a bit of a contrivance. We're here just to do a little bit of a teaser for Friday's interview of Mr. Tim Durling for his new book, Let It Be Your Guide, the Kansas Album Review.
Oh, is that what we're doing? Oh, okay.
Wow, just a little bit of a teaser. But what we're really here to do is just maybe quickly talk about some Kansas compilations that you would recommend to a beginner.
Yeah, good. No, I think that's a good idea, Mike, because it's a band with a big catalog, all explored in the book, but it's a band with a big catalog, and sometimes it's hard to know where to start.
That's right.
And so I thought maybe I dug some things out, and I thought I'd go in order of when they were released. But yeah, so the first one I want to talk about is the first official Kansas comp that came out back in 1984. And I got to tell you, I mean, I love the Kansas album art. I even like the album art on their compilations. That's how good it is. The best Kansas. Now, this, I love this cover art because this is very much like, I know we probably got a lot of Rush fans on here. It's like Exit Stage Left in that there's a lot of imagery from their previous albums on here, not just the front cover, but the back cover as well. Now, it's important to note this is the original 10-song album that came out in 1984. That's important because if you get it now, it's got more songs on it, but it's missing a song. And it's missing a song that only appeared on here and one other thing. So the original one is the one to seek out. We'll get into that. But what I really liked about this, when I first found it, this was reprinted, which was kind of cool. It's got all the lyrics to the songs. But when I found the vinyl, and this is before I had all of the Kansas albums on vinyl, it's got all of their album covers. And at the time, I didn't know what all of them looked like. So this was extremely helpful. And so, I mean, this is a really good overview. Jex has the CD. It's a really good overview of their career for 10 songs. I mean, how do you sum up a career? But, you know, it's not bad. Now, it had one new song on it, a new track specifically recorded for this collection called Perfect Lover. The band pretty much had disbanded at this point, or were on what would end up being a 2-year hiatus. But Perfect Lover was on. This song is sort of, or this album is sort of bait, I guess, to get people to buy the compilation. And people did buy the compilation. It sold over 4 million copies in the States over time. But they reissued the Best of Kansas, same cover and everything, in the late 90s. And Perfect Lover doesn't appear anymore. And as we've talked about, I hate that. A reissue should always add, never subtract.
I agree with that. Yeah. Jax, any thoughts?
Well, I had a quick question regarding your book, Tim.
Jax, we got to save all the book questions for Friday because we're doing the big interview with Tim Durling, right?
Sorry, I'm a little excited. Sorry.
Get that coffee in you, bro. Get the coffee in you, bro. Sorry, Tim. Sorry for my co-host here. You know, he's new. But so that's the compilation to start with. But we're talking the '84 version if you want Perfect Lover,
version, which isn't hard to find. You can get it used. But yeah. Now, is the new one worth getting? Yes, sure. But yeah. So the next thing to come out was 10 years later. For some reason, they did this in 10-year spans. I don't know why. 1994, they released their box set. It doesn't really have a title. Again, really cool artwork. This is part of the Sony Legacy series, and it's just a two disc box set as opposed to 3, so it's a little slimmer. You know, compare this with the Journey box set or Aerosmith's Pandora's Box. But what was useful about this was so here's the booklet that came with it. You know, a history of the band to that point, like from their formation up through 1980. That's what this covers. It's the original 6-piece lineup. And a lot of things I didn't know about the group. And also, there were some of their albums that weren't released on CD at this point, so this had some tracks on it. Were the first time that I had them on CD. So yeah, worth getting. There's some demo things, some live things on here. Would I start with this compilation? Probably, but it's very cool. I don't know if it's been reissued. I don't know if you can get Mike, what am I trying to say?
A slim box.
Slim box, yeah, not the tall.
Right, something
this anyway, but
like a long box.
Yeah, it is like a long box, but eventually they do.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
They shrunk them down. Some of the Sonys. So Tim, that was 1994, 30 years ago. Okay, so we have a 2 CD compilation essentially. I will tell you something. 1994 is the year that I got hired at the record store, and that's also a teaser for a video that's coming soon. But I've never seen a used copy of that Kansas box set in my entire run at the record store, which was 1994 to 2006. So I have never seen that in the wild used.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I've never seen it either.
Kansas are a band that were primarily, bulk of their records were sold in the U.S. But yeah, I think I found this at a Records on Wheels actually, and I was a little surprised. And there was one new song on this one too called Wheels. Great song.
Very cool.
But that was used to promote it. So the next thing that came out. I think it only came out in Europe, but it is official. Sony in the UK or Europe or somewhere. This one's from Germany, I think. Came up with this definitive collection series where they all kind of looked like this. They were all combining parts of the album covers, and they had this along the bottom. So this is the Kansas definitive collection. Now this version I have here has an extra CD with it, and this extra CD makes this worthwhile to purchase because it contains the song Wheels. It also contains Perfect Lover. So this is the only other place I think where you can get those two songs. So if you're unable to find an original Best of Kansas CD, you've got the newer one, get this one, you'll have Perfect Lover. This is a really good mix. And what's good about this is that this has a couple tracks from the Steve Morse years, and it's got a song from Freaks of Nature, which was their 1995 album. So yeah, this is recommended for a comp.
What I like about this is you're killing two birds with one stone. You're getting Wheels and you're getting Perfect Lover. Jax, any thoughts?
Well, I was just gonna say combines the two first compilation.
It does. It really does. And there are some live tracks on here, and I don't know if they appear anywhere else. They might be from the box set, but I like the fact that they're giving a nod to the post CBS Sony years, which a lot of comps don't because a lot of them can't. Got a good example of that coming up.
That one's got me intrigued. I might be wishlisting that one right there.
I would highly recommend it. So while Sony in the UK did that, Sony in North America in the early 2000s did the Ultimate series. So this is the Ultimate Kansas.
Ooh,
I love the cover. It combines, some of their album art.
That seems to be a common theme with these compilations is that we're seeing references to past cover art.
Yeah, love it. So this came out 2002. This is the 2-disc version. There's probably a single disc version, but get the 2-disc version. Now this only covers up to 1983. There's nothing post, their Sony career. But what's cool about this is that at the time they started reissuing the CDs that made them look like old labels. Now Kansas run Kirshner Records, which was a very specific imprint that CBS distributed. Except for Drastic Measures and the best of those. Remember CBS Associated Records, which was sort of like a grab bag label. I think some of Ozzy's albums were on that after he wasn't on Jet anymore, before it switched to Epic. Eventually it switched to Epic, I think. But this looks like a 70s era Epic.
Yeah. Very retro. Very retro.
Yeah. Essential Ted Nugent CD looks like that as well.
Yeah. Cheap Trick too, because they were an Epic band. And here you go. That's all, but not all, but it's all, and including the box set and the best of, and of course, there's a write up. So this is a good start too. But again, it only goes to 1983, and to me, they're just getting started. Mike, actually, I don't know that definitive one. Yes, you want to get that one, but I think you also want to get this.
Ooh, look at that.
What's this?
This came out in 2004. Again, a 10-year span for these, right? This is called Sail On, the 30th anniversary collection. And I didn't plan this, but does the cover to this not remind you of something?
It sure does. Looks a little familiar.
Yeah. We won't talk about that.
No.
Again, one of my favorite logos ever.
I like that a lot.
So this is, it's got 2 CDs and a DVD. And the second DVD features songs from Power, In the Spirit of Things, Freaks of Nature, Always Never the Same, and Somewhere to Elsewhere. Brings you right up to the present day. Just one song from each, but still, it acknowledges MCA years and stuff. Now, the disc 3 is all videos, which is kind of neat. Doesn't have all of their videos, but it's got a lot of them, and there's commentary from the band on the videos, and so it's really worthwhile to have those nice cleaned up versions. And obviously, it has a booklet within, with which booklet's part of the. And this version, I bought this off Discogs, but it's actually signed.
Whoa!
Yeah,
Look at that. Let's get a close up of that.
And that's legit? That's
it
like
looks
legit.
Basically, I've seen the signatures before, but that's not why I bought it. I just didn't have it. So
Right.
You didn't know it was signed when you bought it, I guess, right?
no, I did. No, it was
Oh, you did?
advertised.
Oh,
so.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bonus.
Yeah, that is a bonus.
And the last one I want to talk about is only a couple years old at this point. This one's very special, but I wouldn't start with it as a newbie.
Okay.
Well, maybe I would. I'll explain what I'm talking about. This is called Another Fork in the Road, 50 Years of Kansas. Ches and I reviewed this on my channel when it first came out. And I've since gotten to know the guy that compiled this. It was his job to compile it because he worked for Inside Out Music. My buddy Jeff Wagner, who also is a writer, he does the Radical Research podcast and wrote the most excellent Fates Warning biography, Destination Onward. Now, he told me this was actually, there were death metal album covers in this record store and they had to retouch everything to make it all Kansas. But what I like about this compilation is that it starts in the very present. So there's generous helpings of their new albums, generous helpings. Basically, all of disc 1. Disc 1 starts in 2022 and goes all the way down to 1995. So if you missed those albums along the way, this almost makes it worth buying. Gives you a pretty good slice of what they've been up to. Now, this is where I know Mike is going to want to seek out the UK version. Definitely going to want to seek out the UK version because there is a gap between 1995 and 1983 on the North America version because, as Jeff explains, they could not get the rights to include songs from the 2 MCA albums, the 2 Steve Morse albums. And for some reason in the UK, they could. So there's a slightly different track listing on disc 2 of this comp. That's the one that Mike wants to get.
I'm afraid so. I'm a Steve Morse fan. I'm a Steve Morse fan, as we will discuss when we do talk about the book.
Yeah, and also it there's not so much of a gap. There's not a 12-year gap.
Right.
And it's funny. I was talking to Jeff, and I said, you could have stuck "Perfect Lover" on there because I asked him about that song, about how it was omitted, and it was so funny. And I was just, that's just me as a fan talking. He said, "Now you got me rethinking my and I'm like, no. But he was commissioned by the band. I mean, he knew the band quite well, and he, like I said, worked for Inside Out Records. So that is pretty darn cool. I mean,
that is very cool.
Yeah, but this goes all the way back to the beginning, so it ends in 1974. Now, the only thing that would keep me from recommending this, if this was the first thing you were going to get by Kansas, is that the thing that I like about it, and the thing that makes it useful for longtime fans, is that the well-known songs are here in live form. They're not the studio version, because we've had the studio versions on so many different comps. So, Carry On Wayward Son, Dust in the Wind. Dust in the Wind on here is the orchestral version from 1998's Always Never the Same. Carry On Wayward Son is from the 1978 live album, Two for the Show. And there's other ones like that too. But this is thorough. It's got a great write-up in it. It's got, some really cool memorabilia. And of course, I mean, where is it? And I mentioned this to Jeff. Of course, I didn't know him then. I had to give him extra props for including
an 8-track.
An 8-track. So there you go. There's other like lesser official ones, and you'll see them. Any band that's been around that long, there's going to be other ones, but that's basically the officially sanctioned, officially released Kansas compilations. And I hope I've done a good job at explaining what they cover. And
yeah, I think we have some ideas here of where to start. Maybe you start with the best of and then grab the 50-year compilation. Jax, do you have any questions for Tim before we let him go?
Well, I do, because there's been a lot of talk about artwork so far, and I just was wondering if you could tell us who designed the artwork
We'll get into that Friday, Jax. I can tell you're really eager, and I don't blame you, because I'm excited to talk about this book as well. So Friday,
I'm so excited. I'm like the Pointer Sisters here.
See, Jax has had too much coffee now. But Friday, July the 5th, we will talk to Tim in detail about Let It Be Your Guide, the Kansas album review. This is all the studio albums. He's not neglecting any phases of the band in here. And yeah, we'll talk about the cover art there by Matt Phillips, True North Design, I believe. Or Go North, Design did the artwork. We'll talk about all of this. And Tim, I just want to thank you.
Folks, both of these gentlemen here contribute.
Full disclosure, it's true.
Full disclosure.
So, Tim, I can't wait to talk to you. I know, obviously, Jex is very excited to talk to you next Friday.
Practically chomping at the bit. Maybe he should switch to decaf. I don't know.
Maybe he should switch to decaf. And, folks, this is going to be at a brand new time slot for us. We're going to be doing this at 4:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 5:00 p.m. for these guys. Normally, we go live at 3:00, so this is a new time slot. We're giving it a shot. Join us, please, Friday, July the 5th on Grab a Stack of Rock. For these two gentlemen, we'll be talking Kansas, Let It Be Your Guide. And I hope today you've made a purchase, perhaps based on this gentleman's recommendation. Well, thank you, Tim. Jax, any last words since we've cut you off twice?
I don't know what to say anymore. Tune in this Friday, July 5th.
Looking forward to it.
I like the way he's thinking. That's good.
I like the way he's thinking.
Thanks,
Take care, everybody.